Right, so today in Money Monday on Power Lunch on Power 98.7, we're talking about the dynamics of joint investments. So we're talking here about a financial arrangement. You, your sister, your cousins, you decide to pool your resources and invest in a particular asset or a venture. So you could join a business together, or you could purchase something together, a property, whatever it is, right? And the goal of this is to combine your capital, combine knowledge and expertise to maximize returns and manage risks collectively. And given that our country is in the economic state that it is, we're posing the question today, is it a good idea to pursue joint investments? How do you go about it? What types of investments are there for you to explore? And how do you vet the people that you are getting into this type of joint investment with? Let's get your calls about joint investments that you've made along your years and what the outcomes and learnings of those have been. Give me a call on 0861 987 000. In studio, we have investor and author of It's More Than Just Money, Witness Mdaka. Welcome to Power Lunch.
Hi, Bobby. Thank you for welcoming me. It's been a while.
It has been. It's good to have you here again. We also have on the line financial systems specialist and author of Stokvels, How They Can Make Your Money Work for You, Palisa Lengolo, who's on the line. Hi, Palisa.
Hi, Bobby. Great to speak to you. How are you?
Very, very well, thank you. So, Palisa, I'm going to start with you because if we're talking about joint investments and ways to pool our resources together, something like a stokvel does come to mind. And for various kinds of stokvels, they exist to invest together collectively. So tell us more about your book. Tell us more about the idea of stokvels for joint investment.
Thank you very much again, Bobby. So, stokvels, as we know them, basically were just people coming together with their financial resources to assist each other, just to a basic definition. But they have since evolved. Now we are seeing more and more stokvels investing in property, in the JSE, getting into businesses together, whether they call themselves crowdfunding or investment clubs. But the principle is still around stokvels, which is people coming together for a common goal. And then when it comes to investments, because of this evolution of people doing investments together as a group, we have seen quite an advantage in people doing this because now it gives access to a lot of people in investment opportunities. It makes it more affordable when you are doing it in a group to get into investments. But there are dynamics to work around that we can speak about as we go. But it is definitely possible. It's a growing trend. It can be done professionally and properly using professional people to assist. So it is definitely a thing.
I love that. Absolutely. Tell us about your view, Witness, from It's More Than Just Money. I suppose if it's joint investments, it's also trust. It's also, as Palisa has said, professionally being kind of guided into joint investment. It's not just about the money. What's your view on joint investments?
I think the biggest thing when it comes to joint investment, before anyone would want to embark on anything like that, must check if they have shared values with the people that they're getting into business with.
Right.
Because, I mean, there are different ways in which they can obviously get into business with one another. But the main reason would be, why do you need to do that? So which the biggest one would be maybe shared risk, or perhaps the person that you're getting into business with has got skills that you do not have. But the trend recently is that because of the rising number of stokvels that are coming up, people are just entering without necessarily understanding why they're entering into these investment schemes, right? So first of all, you haven't invested on your own. You haven't understood what an investment is. You haven't run a business on your own. You just wake up and you want to get into a partnership and you want to get into a shared investment scheme. I think that is one of the quickest ways to lose money, because there has to be a reason why you are entering into that particular scheme. So I think before people even consider doing that, they need to assess and understand exactly why they need to enter into schemes like that.
That's very interesting. And Palisa, I heard you also go, because I think a lot of the time we think I must do something.
Yeah.
You know, we often hear that there isn't much of a savings culture in South Africa. And so I'm sure a person just thinks, I must just do something. I must somehow get involved. And so, Palisa, let's talk about the whys. Why would a person want to get into a joint investment?
So I think it's very important to really do your due diligence when you are doing into these things. And I definitely agree with Witness in terms of there needs to be some level of common goal. Common goal is quite important because when you aligned with the people that you are getting together with, and in order to get into a joint investment. So you can't just get into an investment you don't understand first and foremost just because it's trending or everybody's going into it or you want to make a quick buck. You do need to understand the type of investment that you want to get into, your level of risk appetite, and the people that you're going to get into the investment with. Is it something that you understand? So financial education also becomes quite important in your due diligence in that manner. And also understand the risk that is involved with doing investments first and foremost. So you do need your own individual understanding of financial education or financial literacy where investments are concerned. And then there's also the shared decision making. You do know that the decisions that you're gonna make going into this investment are going to be shared. You're either going to be voting, you're going to have to agree, you're going to have to put the facts down in terms of, is it really something that you need to go into? And once you have your facts straight, and then you are able to explore these opportunities. But common goal is very, very important. Don't just go into joint investments just because it's the most popular thing happening right now.
Okay, let's talk about what kind of investments there are out there that people can get into jointly. Witness?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that we need to understand before we look into the kinds of investments that people can get into, we have to understand that an investment is like a vehicle. It's a means to an end. It's not the main thing, right? You are investing in that particular thing because you want to achieve a certain goal. Now, before you even invest in it, what is it that you want to achieve? Do you want to get cash flow out of it? Or on a monthly basis be paid a certain amount? Do you want to be paid quarterly? Do you want to be paid yearly? Or are you perhaps willing to let your money sit in the investment and be locked up for 5 years? That's the first thing that one needs to understand. And then on the types of...
So that's your why. That's I need XYZ, so this vehicle will be able to get me there.
Yes. Because it's one thing to say, okay, there are 10 types of investments that you can invest in. But the question will always be, which of these investments are going to help you achieve the goal that you have, right? So if you've got a goal, let's say to get cash flow on a monthly basis, and then perhaps people are saying, we are entering into a property stokvel, and we are only going to get our returns after 3 years. That investment does not work for you. Gotcha. Although that particular investment is a shared investment platform that you can enter into.
And it's good.
But you are not going to get the returns that you are looking for immediately.
Right.
And then somebody will say, we are entering into an investment and we want to buy cattle. And we will buy and sell. We're trading cattle, basically. And you get paid every time a cattle is being sold. Now, that's a different kind of investment. The question is, after how long are we going to be selling cattle? So there has to be some form of constitution that governs how you guys are going to handle your partnership with one another, right? And before you even enter that partnership, because remember, the fact that it's called a stokvel, the fact that it's called a company or a trust or a PTY or a closed corps don't exist anymore, it all boils down to one thing. It's a partnership. There's more than one person that you are going to be dealing with. And there has to be a vision and a goal for that particular partnership. So just there are different kinds. There are those people that come together to buy franchises and operate them on a monthly basis and get cash flow quarterly from that. They'll be paid dividends, right? So you as an investor or a person that wants to enter into that kind of investment must understand first, what you want to achieve. Do you want to achieve monthly cash flow? Do you want to park your money? Because I hear people say, invest in property, you're going to be rich. Well, it's debatable whether or not you're going to be rich, because somebody can say, we're doing this investment, but we're only going to be selling the units after 10 years and we're paying dividends after 10 years. What happens to your money then?
I mean, that's just a delay in when you get your return on investment. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't, but you've got to understand that and be okay with that.
With the financial implications.
In the interim, lejaing.
10 years, yeah. So let's say you've taken 500,000.
Yeah.
Or for people that advise their parents to invest.
Yes.
Your mom has just gone on pension. She's getting 2 million rands. And there's a friend that's suggesting a wonderful Stokvel or another company to invest in, right? So before you even put the money there, understand, does your family need cash flow on a monthly basis? Remember, mama is not working anymore.
Yeah.
Mama is getting 2 million. You taking 2 million, you parking it into a Stokvel, for lack of a better word, right? But the Stokvel is only going to produce results or income in 5 years' time. Now, in 5 years, mama will be looking at you and saying, what are we eating?
Yes.
And you are the one who came up with this idea.
Okay.
So it's important to understand what the constitution or the agreement of that particular partnership is going to be. And partnerships are not necessarily limited to Stokvels, right? Because that's just a group of people coming from different backgrounds, but have got a shared goal. Sometimes you want to partner with somebody that you know that has been running a business for a couple of years. Then the question will always be, Chief, how much cash flow am I getting on a monthly basis? Because I would advise people that want to enter into partnership to rather invest because they are getting some form of cash flow, be it monthly, quarterly, or yearly. You are getting paid something that you can at least meet your basic needs with and use to invest in other projects if you want to continue to do that. But if you're happy to park your money because you've got cash flow from other resources, invest for the long haul.
Balisa, your view on that? The types of investments out there?
So I definitely agree with witness there in terms of the type of investment, and it's this passive part of income of investment is also a very important aspect of it when you are deciding on the type of investment that you are going into. Yeah. You don't want to be those people that are heavily investment but broke cash flow wise, because you still need to live your life. You still need to meet your necessities in life. You can't be in a tight corner because, but I've got investments. So it is important to make sure that you have cash flow even after you invest. So the types of investments that are out there, after you have really assessed your cash flow position, would be the things that are already mentioned, like properties, whether it's commercial or residential, shares in the JSEs can be also type of shares. Private equity, buying into companies or privately held companies is also a type of an investment. Startups, supporting early stage businesses with the money that you are able to invest in as a group or as an individual. And there's also things like your trust, your ETFs that are out there that I can mention in terms of type of investments that are out there that you can be able to grow your wealth with using vehicles like a Stokvel, a company, a cooperative, or whatever legal entity that you put in place that you have agreed with the people that you are partnering with, that you're going to use in order to access that investment. But it's very important to choose the type of investment that allows all of you your needs in that manner, so that you're not stuck in an investment where it's 5 years but you need money within a year. So rather go for short-term investments if you've got cash flow problems.
Yeah, so you've got to really decide what you need and if this is going to help you. I wonder then why not go it alone? What benefits come from partnering up? Balisa? Go ahead.
So I've got a few ones that I've already mentioned. One of them would be, let's just make a basic example. Say there's an investment opportunity that needs 100,000. I can't access that and I don't have that capital. But I've got 10 friends that I know that we can put the 100,000 together with. Then I'm able to access that investment because now with my 10,000, but with other people, so that collective financial resource makes me have access to that investment that I wouldn't necessarily have had if I was alone because I only had 10,000. So that is the first advantage that I think into that. And then joint investment also allows some kind of diversification because you spread the risk among, you are able to spread the risk among multiple assets or ventures, which reduces the impact of single investment performance. So, for example, we can say, okay, together we can always invest in property, but we can also invest in business, but we can also invest in shares, for example.
Yeah.
You are able to have that power of diversifying your thing. Not everyone, yes, there are people who have big capital to put together to do that. But for me, it's usually more adventurous, more of an advantage rather to when you have capital limitations. And then the third one would be capital pooling, and it's already what you already said. When you've got access in terms of the large pool of money, you are able to have capacity to raise more money when you are able to do it with a partner or with somebody else. More than one always makes an advantage. And then for me, the most important part, the risk sharing part, would be also an advantage of doing it with a partner or with a group of people. The fact that when we do lose this money with the 100,000 example, for example, I would probably lose just 10,000 instead of the whole 100,000 if the 100,000 all came from me. That's the risk that is also shared. So the risk is divided instead of being an individual risk. So those would be the advantages that I can just highlight of collectively doing joint investments.
I don't know if this is because I was an only child for so long or, I'm almost independent. We've got to vet the people that we work with, right?
Definitely.
We've absolutely got to vet them. And I wonder what the process is to vet somebody. It's not just a conversation, is it, Witness?
Yeah. So I like listening to what Palesa is saying. I love the fact that she touches a lot on the financial aspect of it, But I'm tempted to say that a partnership is really more than just money. And the reason I say that is because if I'm going to partner with someone, right? I mean, there are people that have a lot of money that I personally wouldn't get into any form of partnership with, right? And it goes back to the vetting that you're talking about, because the fact that, for instance, I've got 10,000 and you have the 90,000, it makes up the 100,000. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to enter into a partnership with you.
Sure.
What are your values? What kind of person are you? How long have you been in business? What is it that I need? Apart from the money, what is it that you can bring into the partnership that I don't necessarily have?
Like what? What do you mean?
So for instance, there has to be, let's say, skills that you have that I don't have, right? That makes it a better partnership because you are able to do certain things that I'm not able to do. Like if I'm not good at admin and I know that Bobby is good at admin, for instance, not only are you bringing the money into the partnership, but you'll also handle the admin that goes with the partnership.
Right.
And then apart from that, or in addition to that, you might have access to markets that I don't necessarily have access to. You might know people that might provide venture capital for the partnership, because what you and I have is equity. Now, speaking to you, an only child, you've been partnering all your life. Think about it. Even when you are purchasing a property and the bank is financing you, the bank is your finance partner.
Right.
That's what they're called. They're
Right.
a finance partner. And at the end of the day, you make a decision which institution is going to be your finance partner on the deal, whether you're buying a car, whether you're buying a home, anything that requires another person to agree or put a signature to it is a partnership. Now, the question will always be, how do you choose that partnership, like you said, right? One of the things might be, if you're dealing with an institution, might be interest rates, might be the terms that they provide. it all boils down to that. What are the terms that you're
Yeah.
getting yourself into? And what is it that you're getting from the other person that you can't give yourself? That's the big thing.
All right, Balisa, stay on the line with us. Witness, sit tight as we find out what's happening in the very latest 2:30 Power headlines. I'd love to hear from you, our Power person. 0861 987 000. Let us know about your journey and dynamics of joint investments, from Stokvels to starting businesses together, to investing in things like property or other assets together with your partners. Talk to me about that process, right? I mean, Witness's book is called It's More Than Just Money. There are emotions involved. There's personalities involved. There's values involved. Balisa says in her book how Stokvels can make your money work for you. So tell me how the joint investments you've made across your life has made your money work for you. We'll take your calls after this, our 2:30 Power headlines. And I so wish you were in the studio with us, Balisa, because we're having such a laugh at various factors and questions around whether, we've invested together, and success stories of these joint partnerships with Witness Ndaka, who's in studio, investor and author of It's More Than Just Money. So let's delve into the how we vet, but also who we vet, right? Who are these people that we get into partnership with? And I want to understand a little bit more. Both of you must have experience and seen the best of the stories and the most horrific of the stories. People partnering up and joint investing with friends. And you were telling me off the air about, purchasing property with friends and some of the things that you've seen.
So the one thing I actually emphasized, I said to you, I wouldn't advise anyone, for instance, to buy anything in their personal names with anyone that they're not married to. And you added and said sometimes they shouldn't even do it with the people that they're married to. And part of that is the reason that the fact that we are good friends doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to be good business partners.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a business partnership and a friendship. And one of the ways to ruin a friendship very quickly is to get into business with the person that you call a friend, because we don't have the same mindset in terms of what we want to achieve for that particular business or anything that we want to do for that matter. So I've seen when it comes to that particular thing, friends that have started off well and they say, let's invest together. It's 4 guys. A friend of mine, one of my business partners, actually, when he started his business, there were 4 cousins. It wasn't even friends. They had this idea of buying RDPs in Limpopo, Shekhu. And they bought the first one. After buying the first one, when it was time to now put up the money to do the development, everybody pulled out one by one until it was the only one left in that project. So it was a situation where now he had to pay everybody one by one, because all of a sudden now they had bigger problems than what they wanted to achieve. Now there are things that were more important, that were taking precedence, or that have more priority than what they wanted to achieve.
I like that story because it highlights that people might not have bad intentions. They might not just be nefarious and trying to steal. They may have a focus outside of the business that takes precedence.
That's more important.
Yes.
Yes.
And that still then poses a risk.
It does pose a risk one way or another, because it's, the thing is, we judge people mostly on intention, right? If I stab your hand right now, whether it was my intention or not, you're going to bleed.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to understand, right? It's not even the intention behind what the person is doing. It's the harm that comes with what they are doing to you, right? If it's not my intention to destroy your life financially, right? And me pulling out of a deal that is going to leave you alone is now destroying your financial life. Whether it's my intention or not, I am destroying you. So you have to learn to vet even the people that you call close friends, the people that you call cousins, because the guy took about 2 years paying everybody off and now started to do the development alone. Now, can you imagine at the family gathering, you are arriving there, you owe me 100,000 because you pulled out and it's putting me in bad financial
And it's not
situation.
just you as the cousins now, Balwanang, hey? Your mother's involved.
Yeah.
And your mother and her sister now,
Yes.
and so it is very, very risky. And we've talked a lot about the potential that you can get from a joint investment, but it is always important to think of that in the back of your mind. Balisa, horror stories, success stories, what can you share?
Yo, buddy, I also wish I was in the studio. I have seen horrible stories. And I've also seen successful stories.
Yes.
Some I was part of, some I wasn't. I've been working in the group investment space for like 7 years. So I've seen like everything working great on paper until it actually time to execute. Whether it's a group of friends, whether it's family or cousins, there can be a lot of challenges with it. I'll tell you with my personal story where it was with my friends.
Okay.
And we were definitely all aligned in terms of the common goal we want to do. We wanted to invest in shares. We are all friends. We get along. We are professionals, and we're bringing different skills in the table. So on paper, we are the perfect combination. But when it's time to execute, and I've seen this with other groups only, you put the friendship above the business transaction that you're trying to do. So you are very how you conduct each other. You don't wanna offend each other. You don't wanna disagree too much. When the other one is not pulling their weight, and then the other one is not. The other one is doing everything for everyone because it's my friend, but it's not in that way. So those are the type of dynamics that we had when we were doing our investment club. In terms of the friendship dynamic of it is a bit tricky and it's limiting in terms of, do I really want to do this with the people? And then there is the pulling out.
So hang on, are you saying that if someone doesn't meet a deadline, you'll be like, oh, Shem Chumi, it's fine, we can move it to next week? Or what?
It's not as hard as if you are in a business with strangers. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which affects the business.
Yeah. You are more lenient, basically, in that manner. There are people who have done it very successfully, but I have experienced both sides. That there are successful friendship partnerships or groups, but there are also non-successful ones. Sometimes we're just better as friends, guys, doing our individual businesses and telling our stories like that. And still assisting or supporting each other however we can. And sometimes we don't need to do business together. We don't need to be in the same collective power to get into investment opportunities. But sometimes it does work. I've honestly seen both sides where it failed and another side which would be total disaster. I can tell you stories for days.
Buying... You're in love with this. It's like, yo, never have I ever in my life is the one, my one and only. And then we need somewhere to live and expand our home, you know?
Yeah.
You buy a house together. Just gonna buy this house together because we're together.
Because we're dating. It's a partnership.
Yes.
We love
we
each
are
other.
partners here.
Yeah.
And so let's be partners there in the bond.
Yeah. So what people don't actually think about, I've heard horror stories of, it was actually one of my tenants who worked at the hospital who told me the story, where a friend of his bought a house with his then girlfriend, and the girlfriend then moved out because they were having personal relationship problems, which had nothing to do with the bond, right? But when she moved out, she also moved out with her bond repayment, right? Which simply meant now that obligation, which initially one person wasn't going to be able to afford, now was falling on that one person who really wanted to keep the place that they bought.
Right.
And then another thing, you might want to sell and the person says, I don't agree with you.
Oh, snap.
And now it's a long process
Of
because
course.
it's not like we were married, now we're divorcing, right? We were just dating.
Yeah.
And now the thing is, you want to sell the property, but I like it. And you want to sell it to me and I say, but I can't afford it alone. And then how do you then sell your share in that particular property? Because most cases when people do that, they don't even have partnership agreements that they sign. They don't agree on paper. They just agree, Shem, based on love, because it's in good faith. I love you, you love me. Let's buy this property. And like you said, obviously those that are married in community of property, it's automatic, right? Which I wouldn't advise anyone to even marry in that kind of way if they want to be in business or start investing. So there are many dynamics surrounding these kind of investments, but I personally would not advise anyone. Like, can you imagine now I just wake up, I meet someone and I buy a house with them for us to live in? That's insane.
Yeah, you must buy her a house is what must happen, right? Just buy her a
I wouldn't
house.
even do that. That's why when the relationship stops, the guys go and repossess whatever
Yes,
they got. Ne?
yes.
It's those kind of
Absolutely. So it is all about being extremely sober-minded and entering into this as a business.
Yeah, it's a business.
It's
Even
a business.
marriage is a business. Everything is a business. Because one thing that we actually forget, anything that's going to involve money, that can potentially involve lawyers, that is going to involve the bank, is a business.
Yeah.
Because we're making financial decisions.
So let's go there. Balisa, in the very beginning, you talked about, these processes being professionally guided. So talk to me about things like contracts, legal agreements, and who needs to be involved.
So, honestly, when you are entering into a joint investment, I like what Witness is saying. You're like getting married, so you get into an agreement because it's more than one person. There's money involved, so it's important to do it properly. So drafting and a comprehensive agreement to ensure that all terms are well documented is the first thing to consider. And then seeking legal advice while from the beginning when you're getting into such arrangements, very important. And then also seeking financial advice when you're getting into these arrangements is also an important aspect. And then also knowing your partner well and having aligned goals. When I say know well, I don't mean like know their favorite color or everything like that, but you have to be comfortable with the knowledge of the people that you are getting into, like
how they operate, how they are when they're angry, how they conflict resolve, things of that nature.
How do they do all of those things? Very important, because my third point was actually around communicating. How are you communicating? Openly, honestly, because as Witness says, it is more than about money. It is also non-financial aspects that comes into these joint investments. The resources, the network, your credit record, all those things are important things to consider. And then also, not only think for now only, you need to also prepare for long-term and potential changes that can come as you come into this. So this is when the exit strategy is also important. Should I don't want to be part of this anymore, how do I get out? Is that documented in the agreement that I'm getting into? Whether that agreement is a legal agreement, a constitution, according to whatever expert advice that you have gotten into. It's very important to also check the exit of a joint investment.
You spoke about seeking financial advice, Balisa. Delve into that a little bit more.
So most of the time, we get into investments without applying financial knowledge. And then we also forget that investments are actually quite a financial most of the time. So you do need somebody with maybe more than just basic knowledge about money. How this money is going to affect your investment, your business, personally, tax, cash flow, how you're budgeting for this opportunity. So all those things might not everybody has got the skills and the expertise to do them by themselves. And sometimes not all of you or your partner are going to have those. So you need to outsource that service, and it can be to a financial advisor. For me, a financial advisor or financial professional, obviously a legit, genuine one, registered. It's very important to use professional services in these things because they are able to even see the blind spots that you might have not thought of as a group in order to be able to prepare for challenges that you might come across financially.
Anything to add there, witness?
The biggest challenge is not knowing what you don't know.
Sure.
And wanting to do everything on your
own.
You know, so that's why it's important to have, like she said, she's speaking in the sense of having a financial expert that is helping you. But I would say have a legal advisor as well that's going to see through all those contracts that you're getting yourself into. For instance, if you've got a legal person on speed dial, here's your partner saying, let's buy a home. Okay, it's fine. You're in love, right? But call your lawyer or speak to an attorney and say, this is what I'm considering to do with my partner. What's your take? Now, remember, your attorney is not drunk in love like you. He's going to state the facts.
Tata Beyonce.
And those facts are then the ones that are going to save you from whatever trouble you might get into because you haven't covered yourself. If you want to build, you get a builder's advice, right? If you wanna, you do an engineering project, you speak to an engineer. You speak to a project manager if you've got a project that needs to be managed. Every single aspect of your life requires you to speak to the person that is more knowledgeable than you or other people in that particular area. You can't go to an attorney for medical advice, and you can't go to a doctor for legal advice.
Sure.
So the problem is that a lot of people go to people that are not experienced. You're listening to your uncle there at the party to advise you, let's say, about property, but he's never bought a home his whole life. He's older than you, but what does he know about buying a property? So it's important to find the right kind of advisor for the particular thing that you want to do.
Gaugelo on Twitter or X says, I always tell couples to think of joint property ownership as a business agreement. You'd never start a business without a contract in place. So don't buy a property without one either. It's not about trust.
Yeah.
It's about the contract. Gwena says, business is a calling. If people are not called, and Wena, you just want to call them into your calling, you're going to have a problem. And Gwena says, I learned the hard way.
Sure.
Yeah, the hard knocks really teach you the most incredible lessons, but you don't always have to be knocked hard, right, witness?
Yeah. So I love that, because the biggest investment that you can make, perhaps, is an investment in yourself, an investment in your knowledge. Because even if I want to get somebody to partner with, I have to first know where I'm limited and which kind of partner I'm going to get, right? The fact that you are next to me doesn't necessarily mean we should be business partners or partners in anything for that matter, even if it's crime. You know, when people say my partner in crime, right? It's just the saying that they're making. But even if you're a criminal, wouldn't you want to choose one of the best criminals to partner with? You wouldn't just choose a guy because he says he wants to do crime, right? It goes back to anything that you want to do. Who is the best person to partner with? And how can I protect myself?
But let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm sure we've thought about, and you've thought about as authors, as people who are in the space, the psychology of money, right?
Yes.
What is it that makes people override logic sometimes to trust each other? Okay, greed immediately jumped out of your mouth. Witness,
Greed.
What do you mean? Tell us
greed.
more.
So it's greed that makes people not to invest because they're scared of losing what they already have made or accumulated.
Okay.
And it's greed that makes people lose what they have in hopes of making more than what they already have. So it's all governed by greed. If you look at financial markets, they all play on our greed. Marketers play on our greed. So it's the greed is the one thing, right?
Intense
You
or
will
selfish
override-
desire for something. Intense desire, yes. Selfish desire, especially for wealth, power, or food. So yes, that intensity overrides logic, advice.
Yeah. So somebody will say, don't get into this business.
Yeah.
Don't do it. But somebody has already promised you that you're going to be a millionaire if you do it. Then you don't listen to anyone. I've seen people sell their homes to put everything in an investment scheme in the hopes of I'll get 10 times of what I'm putting in. And that's exactly how people lose their money.
So maybe we also talk about, and Palis, I'd like to hear your view on what Witness had to say there. But this is a time where people are ripe to get scammed as well, isn't it? There's so much need, there's so much, even desperation economically, that yes, if the greed blinds you, if the sheer desire blinds you, you could get into trouble. Palisa, go ahead.
So I definitely agree with a investing in personal development and investing in knowledge. So there's two great things that happens when you are investing in yourself. And I like that you were speaking about greed. And I'm going to talk about usually how people want the fast money, which is then they jump into the quickest scam in order to get money. So we have lacking patience, you're not wanting to understand. But if you invest in knowledge and actually when you have the knowledge, first of all, you will know that this sounds too good to be true. So it's actually a scam. So let me step back. And then, but if you're greedy, you don't want to understand. You just want to jump into it and make quick money or even lose quick money. But the difference would be how you're making that decision. Is it, are you making out of the knowledge that you know, which you have or might not have? So it's important to invest in knowledge. And then the personal development side of it. When you are developing yourself, you are able to even decrease your fear in terms of getting into investments that are legit, and then you'll also be able to identify those that are non-legit, because now you have gone through the personal development of actually knowing what is the difference and actually applying then the development that the personal development and the financial knowledge that you are acquiring, also applying it in these situations where greed and fear are concerned. So I would say those two things are quite pivotal when you are getting into investments, whether as an individual or jointly, because they determine how you are going to make that decision.
Let's speak to Karabo, who's called in just in the nick of time. Karabo, hello.
Hey, Bobby. Thanks for taking my call as always.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was chatting to producer Fano just to say that we have a very strict model. And although we are friends, but come month end, the friendship ends and we hold each other accountable. Some of it has been trial and error, especially during the COVID period. But we draft what we call our constitution, and money has to be in at a certain time. If it's not in at the end of the month, we call it the first Saturday of the month. If it's not in by 12 o'clock, you get fined. And if we're meeting and you come in after 1 o'clock, you get fined. And it is what it is, you know. So the friendship doesn't take precedence over the savings pool that we put together.
Yeah.
And if I introduce Bobby to the group, and you are not accountable for that year, that falls on me, right?
Sure.
Because I've said, Bobby, I trust she can do this, and if she doesn't, I have to that sort falls on me.
Yeah.
So we're very deliberate. We're very intentional, and the friendship starts or commences post, the meeting. We have monthly meetings, this has come in, this has going out, and at the end of the year we do, the split, but we hold each other accountable.
Fantastic.
And the friendship doesn't take precedence. We friendship after the fact. And it's working, and we've been doing it for the last good 6-7 years.
Wow.
And it's been growing, from strength to strength. And we do have people, you are financially challenged at some point in your life. We'd have an exit plan.
Yeah.
Okay, you've missed 2 installments. We're not going to keep adding, charge interest on what we have called interest. We then have an exit plan for you. You pay us back. We work it out. And that's what we do. And if you're ready to rejoin again in the new year, you raise your hand, we onboard you again.
That sounds absolutely professional, and I like that.
Yeah.
12 o'clock,
Yeah.
the meeting ends, and the friendship can start,
And
the
the
glasses
friendship
can
can
come out,
start.
and the cheers
I
can
love
happen.
it.
Yeah.
And we're comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we have those uncomfortable conversations, and we challenge each other. And it's females, and we're all strong personalities.
Beautiful.
But, we sign on it, and we deliver.
What's the end
So, yeah.
goal financially? What's this all for?
So the end goal is just to obviously have your own savings plan in December, So we save it up, and in December, each one has their own split. We have a lady who's, a CIO. She does a spreadsheet. She sends it to us. We know what's come in. We know what's gone out. We know where we're sitting. We understand the financials. So that every month is sent to each and every one of us. And then at the end of the year, you know how much you've saved.
Yeah.
And we all on different sort of models, depending on what you want to achieve at the end of the year.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Garabo. That
Thanks,
was very
Debbie.
interesting. Beautiful.
Thank
and all
you.
the best to you. Take care. We've run out of time. We could talk
flies.
about this for a long time. I think there's so many different aspects to this conversation that you've just so perfectly brought to the fore. Palesa Lengolo, where can we find Stokvels, how they can make your money work for you?
Thank you very much. I love the way we've ended on that note. It does sometimes work when you put processes in place. Awesome. You can get my book at Exclusive Books, Bargain Books, Reader's Warehouse, and Take a Lot.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for being here with us. And next time, come into studio. There's lots of lols and interaction that happens in here. Witness Ndaka, where can we find It's More Than Just Money?
So you can just go on to www.witnessmtaka.com and then you'll find everything concerning how you can find the book.
I was going to say, what a wonderful way to end the program, right? With somebody's lived experience, a positive story that really talks so much about how if it's professionally done, organized, all the contracts are in place and the focus is on the business.
Yes.
And the friendship can happen afterwards. It's a very, very beautiful story.
I love that story as well.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. God willing, we're back together again tomorrow between midday and 3.